Hello everyone, we are going to be running a quick one on HTML, which simply means Hypertext Markup Language. In our earliest video, we've discussed some of the technologies we need to start writing our web pages, and we said HTML happens to be the building block for our website. So today we are going to be taking a quick look at HTML and what we can use HTML to achieve. Now, what exactly is this HTML we are talking about? HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, is a standard markup language for creating of web pages. Okay, so basically any type of web page we have today has its building block from HTML. All right, it doesn't matter how fancy it looks like or how functional it is, but the building block is based on HTML. Now, what HTML does basically is it describes the structure of the web page. Okay, it describes how the web page is going to look like, and then it consists of series of elements. Now, I prefer to call these elements blocks. So when you're building a house, of course, you need blocks. You need to arrange those blocks, lay them properly, and then you use your cement or whatever you're using to build them up together. So the same thing when you're building your website, it's a collection of different elements which are also known as tags that serve as the block you use in building your website. Now the HTML kind of tell your browser how it should display your page through all of those tags and elements that you have used. Let's go further to look at this very simple example of what a HTML document look like. Starting at the first line, we have a doc type, which simply tells the type of document we're working with, and you can guess from here that it says HTML, right? So the document type is HTML. And that's usually the first thing you write in your HTML files. Okay, there are exceptions when you're using framework, but at this level, this is always going to be the first line of our code. The next is the HTML tag, which also has a closing down here. Now this is like the opening and closing of all that we are going to be working on. Okay, everything concerning our web page has to be in between this opening HTML tag and then this closing. Now, if you notice, the opening has an angle bracket at the beginning and also an angle bracket at the end, while the closing has a slash immediately after the opening angle bracket before the name of the tag and then the closing. Okay, so that's just the major difference between the opening and the close. Like you can see the head, we have the opening, and then we have the closing. The body also has an opening and it has a closing. Now let me quickly go through all of this that we have here. The head is a section of your page that contains information about your website, like the title, the descriptions, and all other cool stuffs. Most of the things contained in the head are usually not visible to the user, but they have impact. While the body now is where the main content that will be displayed to the user is captured. Okay, so the body has a beginning and it also has an end, and inside the body we can have our different tags. So let me go quickly launch my VS Code and let's carry out a very simple practical. Okay, so I created a folder in my desktop before now, and I would just go ahead and open the folder using my VS Code. It is in my desktop and I call it web design. So select that folder and then it's open already. I have just one file inside of it, which is new.html, and there is nothing inside of the file. So we are going to write everything ourselves now. Now I'm going to code everything myself, but subsequently I might have to copy paste something so that we can save ourselves time. So the first thing is our document type, which happens to be HTML. And then the next thing is the main HTML, which is the opening HTML, and then the closing, of which everything about our code will be written here. Then we have the head, and then the head also has an opening and a closing. Inside the head we are going to have the title of a page. Now the title comes here. The title also has an opening and a closing. So let's see, that's the title here, my website. Okay, so let's save this now. So to run our program, you can do a couple of things here. First of all, you can choose to go to the extension and then install. We have live server. Okay, you can use this to run your HTML file. Okay, I'm not connected to the internet, so it's having error. Trying. I already have the live server installed, but just so you should know that if you don't install it from your extension, you might not be able to run it. So if I click on go live, give it some second, and then our server starts, then we can view our web page. Now from our web page, you can see we have a blank web page with nothing there except for the fact that we have, I think, yeah, we have the title of the web page here showing my website. Okay, so we have the title here, which is my website. Yeah, you can see that's because we set the title of the website to be my website. So if I go back to my code and then change the title to, let's see, my web page, let me get this out there, save that, come back here, and then we have the changes already showing my web page. Okay, so that's the implication of the title that we are adding in our program. Now back to our code. Inside of the head there are other things we can add, but for now we would go to the body and then write some code right there. So the body also, like I said, has a closing. Inside the body now we can write some things that will be displayed. Let's use a h1, which is also another different tag. Let's see, hello world. So if we come back, we have our hello world displayed right here for us using the h1. Okay, and then I think from our slide we have one more tag which we added, that happens to be the p. Okay, let's say this is a paragraph. This is a paragraph tag, something like that. So if I come here, I refresh, you see it says this is a paragraph tag, and I have my hello world. So let me quickly go through this. This is our document type, which is HTML. This is the beginning, that is where the main instructions will be written. It has a beginning, it has a close here. Then the head has a beginning, it has a close. And things that are usually written in the head, a lot of them do not have visual effects. So when you add some things and you don't see them showing in the web page, just know that some of them do not have visual effect. So we added the title to our web page. The title has an opening, it has a close. Okay, and then we have the title of the web page right inside there. Then we come to the body, which is where the main visual part of our website will be written. We have the h1 displaying hello world, and we have a p displaying this is a paragraph tag. Now you might be wondering, why are we just having hello world? Why are we not having h1 hello world and another h1, or maybe a p, and this is a paragraph tag with another p? Okay, so now this guy is like the tag that tells the browser how to display this text. Okay, so these are now the tags that helps tell the browser how we want this text that are contained here to be displayed. So while talking, I made mention of HTML tags, and then HTML tags are just those different building blocks, different components of HTML that you use in building your web pages. And then we also have HTML element. Now, an element is a collection of a tag, that is its starting, the content in it, and also the end of the tag. Okay, everything put together gives you an element. So for example, we can have a tag name here. Let's say h1. We can have a content that goes inside, and we can have the closing of that tag. So the whole of this gives you an element: the opening of the tag, the content inside, and then the closing of the tags gives you a HTML element. Now with that, we might be using both the tag and the element interchangeably, and it's still fine. So anytime we talk about tags or element, you just know which we are referring to. Now I have few examples here, and then I would like to illustrate some few things from the previous example that we run. We have h1, which is the beginning, then we have the content inside of it, then we have the end of the tag. Okay, now the major difference between the starting and the end is the slash that is being added to the end tag. The same thing to with the p, we also have a slash added to the p to show that it is the end of the tag. Now we have a BR which doesn't have any element, any content in it, neither does it has an ending tag. Well, this is to draw your attention to the fact that we have two different type of tags. We have the ones that have ending, that is they have closing tags, and the one that do not have closing. Okay, so keep that at the back of your mind, and with time we're going to be exploring further on how to use some of these tags. Now let me quickly explain from our previous example. This is what happens when we run that code. Okay, it all starts from this point HTML and also end at this point HTML. We have the head and the body are on the same level, and then the head also has its own separate content like title and the rest of them. Then the body also has its own content which will be displayed on the web page. So I have a very simple collections of HTML tag I would like us to try out before the end of this video, and we are going to be starting with the heading tag. And this is very important because a lot of times when you're working with document, you need to differentiate, or you need to specify the type of heading that will be used, if it's going to be big, if it will be medium, or if it is going to be small, right? So in HTML, we have 6 different types of heading. Now, those headings start from H1, which is the biggest, to H6, which happens to be the smallest. Well, it's like as the number is increasing, the size of the text is reducing. Let's quickly see that example here. So I would quickly grab this. Let me copy paste it to save us time. Okay. Then one more. Let me change this to H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. And also the closing should also be the same thing: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. So save this now. If I come back to our browser, you can see we have different versions of Hello World ranging from H1 to H6. Let me increase my browser size so that at least you can be able to see this properly. So H1 happens to be the biggest, while H6 is the smallest on the list, right? As the number keeps increasing, the size keeps going down. Now, apart from the H1 to H6, we have other different tags like the P, which we've used before, that is the paragraph tag, and we've used one of it here. This is a paragraph tag. We can see another, maybe P again. This is another paragraph tag, something like that. Let me quickly remove these ones for now so that we can have space to view the remaining codes. Okay, so back to our web page, you can see we have Hello World and we have our 2 paragraph tags. The next one on the list, we have the IMG, which is the image tag, and you can use that to add images to your website. And to do that real quickly, I would come here and say, okay, img. Now I am using some shortcut to save us time. Just know that the img is going to have an src, that is source, which should be pointed to the location of the image, and then this is going to have an alt, that's an alternate text that will be displayed if the image was not loaded. So let me say me.png. I don't know if I have any image like that. The alternate text will be no image. So save this, go back to my browser. You can see it says no image because it couldn't load the image I gave it. So now I've copied an image here and I name it me, and it's a png file, to the same folder where my web page is residing. And then I would come back to my browser now and refresh, and then the image is loaded, but it is very big, so you have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll before you can be able to view the image. In subsequent videos we are going to learn how we can resize the video to fit in our need, or maybe let me just change the image to something different. Okay, here I have a new image that is smaller in size. Now we have the image displayed here perfectly well. Okay, the quality is a bit poor, never mind. And we can have an image using the img tag, and you give it the source of the image, that is the location of where the image is. But because both the image and the HTML file are in the same folder, I just gave it the name of the image. You can choose to use absolute or relative path depending on your choice, but for now we don't have to bother ourselves with which one to use. Just place the image in the same folder with your HTML file and then give the source the name of the image. It will automatically pick the image and then load it. Now moving further, we have the UL, which is the unordered list, and you use this to create lists that are not ordered, right? Let's say you have a list that you want to use a bullet point for them, you use the UL, while the OL is used for creating ordered lists that can have numbers, or maybe alphabetical numbering or Roman numeral numbering. It's all depend on you. So let's quickly go to our code and then add some list to it. Just before that, let me just add, I think, a description a bit. Let's see, these are the list of food items, like this. Just a h3 before the list. Now for our unordered list, we are going to use ul, and inside the ul we need to give it the list item, that is the things that will be displayed inside of the list. So I will just use a shortcut to save us time. Li asterisk 4 is going to generate 4 list items for me so that I can easily add them there to save us typing. We have fish, let's see, we have okra, then we have vegetables. What more do we need? Let's see, we need salt, like this. So we have 4 list items. So these are items that will be displayed out in our list. The UL means the list is going to be unordered, and then the LI means the list item. So moving here, you will notice we have our list: fish, okra, vegetable, and then salt. This is coming from the history that we added. These are the list of food items. Okay, so everywhere is good. Now if you want to change this to ordered list, you just need to change from UL to OL, and then peace will reign. So coming back here, you will notice we have numbering 1 to 4. You can choose to change the numbering if you want to use alphabet there, or you want to use Roman numeral. We are not going to be doing that today. Now 2 more tags before we go is we have the BR, which is the break row, and then we have the HR, which is the horizontal row. Now both the BR and the HR do not have closing, they only have opening, right? and the BR is used when you want to break a row. Okay, let me just add something quickly here, and then let's see, I would use a span tag, hello world, like this. So you would notice that both the image and the hello world are on the same line. Okay, the hello world is not on a new line on its own. I will explain that subsequently, but just let's say I want this hello world to be on a separate line here, down here below the image. Then I can use the BR in between the image and the span that is displaying this hello world. This BR is going to cause a break in between these two elements, and then it will cause the other one to go down. So you can see the hello world is here. Now you can use the BR also to add extra spacing. That's not encouraged, but it's still fine. You can see the hello world keeps going down. The more you add more BR, the more space there's going to be between the image and the hello world. Now the BR is just to create horizontal space, while the HR is to create horizontal row. Just a line, to draw a line, a horizontal line specifically. So if we come back here using the HR, you can see we have a line that has been ruled out separating these items. Okay, the BR will only cause the next item to go to the next line, while the HR will cause a line to draw. Both the HR, the BR and the image, they don't have closing. Okay, they only have opening, no closing. So kindly take note of that. That will be all for this video. Subsequently, we are going to be exploring other different tags in HTML and how we can utilize them effectively. See you on the next one.